Like, have you ever felt like you're not the most artistic person? Or have you ever felt like people are more creative than you, like you don't measure up to other creatives? And so because of that, you don't feel qualified to call yourself a creative? I've had a few instances. I actually feel like that's probably been like my life story, is feeling like I don't measure up to other creatives, other artists, and even feeling hesitant to use certain titles for myself, like designer, artist, creative. I've had a hard time accepting those and using those terms to describe myself because I didn't feel qualified to call myself those things. And I had these really, really high standards for what I considered each of those things to be. And because of that, I it was like this layer of feeling like a fraud and feeling like an imposter. And as much as I would feel like I was a creative person, I never felt confident enough to really own that title. And that is what really made me get into this whole idea of creativity and showing people that everybody can be creative. Literally, everybody is creative. And when I say that, it makes you think about that sound. Everybody's so creative. Y'all remember that creator that would do that? Everybody's so creative. And so she would use it, but she was using it to talk about the stuff, the weird stuff that people was making on the internet. And it was really like calling out the ones that was doing it for shock value, not the people that was genuinely expressing their creativity. And so when I realized that I needed to encourage myself, basically, that was when I really started to get into this idea of showing people that they're creative. And I'm thinking about it now and how I feel like that's probably always been a big motivator for me, is how can I spread creativity? Like, like how can I spread creativity? How can I show people that they are creative? And even if it wasn't that literal, or if I wasn't using that type of language to describe it, I was still doing it in some way, whether it was encouraging people to sew, or showing people how to sew something, or showing people how to do something with their hair, or showing people how to do something with their makeup, showing them how to do a certain craft. I've always wanted to show and share creativity with people so that they realized, oh, I'm creative too. And so that was when I really started to adopt the idea and the concept that everybody is creative. And creativity has received this like stigma, not a stigma, but this stereotype that it looks a certain way. If I'm not a painter, then I'm not a creative. If I'm not a designer, then I'm not creative. And it drove me to want to figure out, what is creativity? Like, what does creativity even really mean? What does it entail? And so when I started getting like that bug, like that itch to research it again recently, the last few months, I want to say, that's how I happened upon this concept called creative thinking. And not just creative thinking, but the different ways that it shows up. So creative thinking, not like archetypes. I call them creative thinking styles. And so I be going back and forth because that's not technically what they're called, but that's what I call them. So moving forward, I'm just going to call them creative thinking styles. But if y'all like look this up and you're like, Jada, I have never seen that term before, it's because I put style into it. But there's different ways that you could think creatively. And I really want to get into that in this series because not only is it just cool to learn more about yourself, but I think that it's actually the missing key to helping people to be themselves, because I think that we're in a time And we've been in this time for a while, but I've just been noticing how many people feel this need to compare themselves to other people and compete with other people, and even just feeling like they don't measure up to others. And what's funny, like a little mini rant, y'all, a little mini rant. Also, welcome in. I see somebody else came in. Welcome in. We're talking about creative thinking. I put a comment in the chat so you can see what the topic is about. So, anyway, I was having a conversation and I was saying how if you're going to compare yourself to me, at least be winning. Like at least be better than me. Like at least be winning the competition. I have been I've just been realizing how quickly when we are measuring ourselves and comparing ourselves to other people, we're always making ourselves the losers. It's not even the word that I wanted to use. That's what came out. Okay. I'm not calling you a loser. What I'm saying is you be thinking about yourself like a loser, like you've already lost, like you don't measure up to other people. And I don't understand why our default is to put ourselves in such a low place. Not even humbling at this point. It's just insulting. And I want people to realize that when you are tapped into who you are and when you are leaning on your strengths, what you do well, you are winning. That's how you win. And the things that you see people doing and excelling in and doing well, more often than not, it's because they're doing their thing. They're doing what they do. They have found their strengths. They have leaned into the ways that their creativity thrives and they have capitalized on it. And the only difference between you and them is that you're watching them and you're not looking into you. You're not diving into who you are. And so what I want to do with this series and what I know what's going to happen with this series. It's not even like a hope. I know what's going to happen with this series is that you are going to realize not only how you think and what makes you creative, what kind of creative you are, but you're also going to learn how to take advantage of that, like how to use it to your advantage so that you can start really shining in the way that you were meant to. And you can stop looking to other people for the clarity and the direction that actually comes from inside, like it comes from within. And it's always kind of humbling for me as I'm not a big cliche person. I actually like really hate cliches. I don't know if y'all are like that too. I hate cliches. But the one where it tells you that everything that you need is already within you, that is real. Like that is real. And this is a way, this is a method to do that. This is a way for you to tap into you, lean into you, learn you, so that you can start to exhibit that more and you can start to make choices that align with who you are. So, with all that being said, I hope y'all are excited so far, my little introduction there. But before I get into the creative thinking styles, there are 5 different creative thinking styles. I'm going to give an overview of all of them, and then I will break them down in their own videos somehow. I'm not sure what it's going to look like just yet, but I'm going to break it down. I actually just got like a really fun idea. So, oh, okay. I think I know what I'm gonna do, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So we're gonna get into what each of them are. But before I do that, I do want to tell you what is done for me, okay, and why I am so adamant about it. So one thing about me, if you don't already know, I'm going to do the things first. Okay. If I'm telling you anything, if I'm sharing any insights, if I'm giving you any information, 9 times out of 10 is because I already did it. Okay. I've already went through it. I've already worked through it. And I've come to this conclusion on my own. And so when it came to the creative thinking styles, I started reading and learning about creative thinking styles for me. Okay. for moi. This was for me first. I was like, it's cute for you, but I need this. Hey, Kayla, welcome in. I figured that was you. Hello. So I'm trying to see if I can bring up my creative thinking, my profile. So let me move my mic back just a smidge while I'm on this computer. But y'all, if you are already excited about creative thinking styles, I want you to put creativity in the chat. If you are watching the replay, put creativity in the chat, and don't nothing change. The rules stay the same. And I'm gonna tell y'all what mine did for me. Creativity. I see it, and I see it with the exclamation point. Thank you, Kayla. I love when people just like type the things that you say. I don't know why, but it's fun to me. Okay. I'm bringing up I'm trying to find mine so I can go through the entire thing with you. Um but I don't remember where it is exactly. Okay. I'm gonna have to do it from memory for now. I'm gonna do it from memory for now. Okay. That's all right. So my creative thinking style, and I'll break these down for y'all in a minute, but my dominant creative thinking style is inspirational. Okay. My secondary one is systems. Okay. Just so you know, inspiration, systems. That's my combo. I have aspects of all of the different creative thinking styles, but those are the ones that I lean on the heaviest. Okay. With inspiration being my main one. And when it comes to being an inspirational thinker, yeah, twins. When it comes to being an inspirational thinker, one of the most important things for me to have is space. Like, I need space to process my thoughts. I need space to daydream. I need rest to dream. I need space to process my thoughts through journaling or through meditation or through walking or through just solitude, whatever that looks like. Though that is something that is important because that is where my ideas come from. That is where I get inspiration. That's where I get those aha moments. That's where I get that revelation. That's where I get that insight. And when I realized that that was something that was a need for me, it wasn't just like it's a cool idea to do this every now and then. It's a no, girl, you need to sit down every day. Like, this is some time you need to make this something that is a part of your ritual, a part of your structure, because that is where your insight comes from. That's what fuels your creativity. So when I realized that, I started to journal every day, literally every day. And actually, that's not all the way true. So I was journaling. I was doing my the morning pages. I think I told y'all about that before. I was started reading The Artist's Way, and I was doing the morning pages. And so I was writing 3 pages every single day. And I think the creative thinking styles, the idea to even research it actually came from those morning pages. So, fun fact there. And so that's how I ended up getting into this. I started getting into this rhythm of, I'm a write, and then when I would write, I would have these amazing content ideas. I mean, literally, it would be content ideas. I would have business ideas. I would have ideas for other people. Like, I had so much. It was like, it just like gave me like this reboot and this refresh. And I felt like it almost like reset me a little bit and kind of restored me to the factory default. I don't know why I'm using like phone references right now, but I felt like I got like a factory reset. And I got back to who I am, or at least to my creativity, how my creativity shows up. And from there, I started to write emails. And so now every day or just about every day, I'm writing emails. I'm talking to my list. I'm sharing what I'm going through and how things are going in my life. And this is something that I actually haven't talked about like publicly. This is more of something that I've been processing privately. But I when I started to re-engage and connect with my email list, my open rate consistently stays between like 40 and 50%. And for somebody who was not emailing their list very often, that's a very good number. Now, I would personally like to see it be a higher number, but I'm going to take what I can get, right? I'm going to take what I can get. Additionally, one of the things that I really wanted to work on. Thank you, Caleb. Yeah, I'm doing a little something, a little razzle dazzle. And then outside of that, one of the things that I wanted to work on was my click through rate. And so, if you're not familiar with that, it's basically how often, what percentage of people are clicking on your emails. And so, consistently, my click through rate was like zero. Because one big problem is that I wasn't really advertising a lot of things, but other problem was that I wasn't really, I won't say I wasn't saying much, but I can say that my content has improved in my emails since I started doing the morning pages and started to really tap into my style of creativity. I feel like I've found what is true to me and how I want to show up in my emails. And so I started doing more like candid, behind the scenes type of content. And I was giving people updates on what I was doing and what I was working on and how I was going. And so if you're in my email list, you're literally watching me in real time build these things. And so because of that, because I'm like taking people on a journey, my click through rate, every email now I'm getting clicks as opposed to the zero clicks that I was getting. Literally, like people were not clicking on emails. And I was starting to see, oh wait, people are still like reading these, like they look forward to it. People are responding to me and telling me that they liked it, or they're like continuing a conversation that I started in the emails. It literally has become it's become a staple in terms of my like my content ecosystem. And it all is because I learned how to tap into my creative thinking style. That's a big part of it. I won't say that's the only thing, but my creative thinking style. And what I really gained from it is that I'm more confident in how I show up. I know what I'm talking about when I get on live. Literally, y'all, I was before I took like a little break. I haven't been live for a few weeks. And so before the few weeks, I felt like I needed to have, and this is like a moment that I'm having like right now, like in real time, I'm realizing this. I used to have a like really firm outline. And there will be days where it was like, I just don't know what I'm going to talk about. And I still know that outlines are going to be a big part of creating because it alleviates me having to come up with ideas in real time. However, even today, like I was able to just come on here and start talking about this thing and like pick it up almost like I didn't fall off. Like I wasn't gone for weeks. I was able to come back to it and I knew exactly what I was going to talk about because I'm moving in a flow and in alignment with how I create and where I am right now in my life and what I know that people need. And so there's a certain clarity and confidence that I'm able to speak with. Additionally, I have realized that because my main thinking style is inspirational, I have to allow the inspiration to lead, to drive and run the show because my habit at times is to try to create the structure before I know what the structure is supposed to support. And that feels like a word. That feels like a word, y'all. I was trying to create the structure before I knew what it was that I was trying to create. I feel like I said it a little bit differently. Imma sit with that though. I felt that one. Y'all let me know if y'all felt that one too. That felt like something. I felt like I was like, "Mm, let's sit with that for a second." Right? Even thinking like, okay, hold on. Cause I thought about how you can't build a building without the blueprint. Like you literally need the vision. The vision for this building has to be established before the structure is ever built. And so imagine you're over here trying to build the foundation for a building and you don't even have the blueprint for it. You don't know you don't know how many levels it's going to be. You don't know if it's going to be a house, it's going to be a commercial property. You don't know what you're building, but you're trying to build a foundation. And that's like the visualization that came to mind when I said that. And the thing that's so funny about it, and I will touch on this, especially when I do like the individual breakdowns of each creative thinking style. I'm gonna talk about this in more depth. But one of the things that had a challenge with was feeling like my way of creativity was not valid. I felt like it wasn't as reliable because I needed to have I needed to rely on inspiration. I can't be inspired every day. That's literally what I was thinking. Like, how am I going to get inspiration every day? Or how can I, like, I never know when it's going to hit. So how can I build a structure around something that feels so unpredictable? How do I build consistency around something that feels like I'm not sure when it's going to happen. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Or sometimes I would just be scared because it would feel like what was inspiring me was a complete deviation from what I was currently doing, and I didn't want to be that person that's always all over the place and left and right and super flighty and just I didn't want to be that person. And so there were a lot of negative connotations that I had when it came to my creative thinking style that I was able to address once I realized that I have to stop trying to work against it and I have to stop trying to dictate what it's supposed to look like and appreciate what it does for me and learn to work with it so that I can start to see different results. Plain and simple. I just wanted to see different results. So I've been experiencing so much more consistency, so much more clarity, so much more confidence, and I have been feeling like I have been like hitting the nail on the head when it comes to my content. Like, I just feel like it's just like, and it's making me feel like a different person. Like I'm just showing up differently. And what makes me the most excited about it is that it's not something that I can't share with other people. And I think that's the part that makes me the most hype. And that's why I couldn't wait to start this series and share it with y'all because I knew how it's making me feel. And I'm like, I know this is not a fluke. And I know it's not a fluke because I have been feeling this way consistently for months now. Literally for months. I have been feeling this steadiness, this like this assuredness. That's what I want to say. It's not a word that I use often, so it feels weird. But assuredness, like I feel sure, I feel certain, I feel grounded. And the feeling hasn't gone away, even as different things have happened in my life. And so I'm excited because I know that is if it can do this for me, and if I can understand and recognize what changed and what shifted for me, then I know that it can help other people too. So I'm so excited to share this with y'all. I will likely share more things with you, like more personal updates, I guess, as I go through the series and break down each of these. But what I did want to make sure that I mentioned, at least for this part, what I wanted to make sure that I mentioned is that this has this feels so big to say, but this has really shifted my life. This has shifted my life, y'all. And it makes me so excited, and it makes me feel like it's something that it would be rude to not share it with you. It would just be wrong not to share it and not talk about it. And it feels so aligned and so in tune with what I've always wanted to do, which is to help people to be creative. I want people to I want to show you that you are creative. I want to show you that you are capable of doing those things you think about. You don't just have to be a spectator. You don't just have to be somebody who watches other people win, but you don't get to pursue your dreams. You don't get to pursue your ideas. I want to show you that no, it is meant for you to do it, and it's meant for you to do it the way you're supposed to do it, not how everybody else is doing it. So I can't wait. I can't wait. I do have some like I have some updates and some things, some opportunities to work with me that I will share with you as well. I will get into the first one in a moment, what's coming, what I got coming up, and how you can work with me so that you can see how the creative thinking styles works in action. So I'll give y'all that, but I'm a little hesitant because I don't have it ready yet to like direct y'all to. But I'm gonna tell you what it is, and then when it's ready, then you can go and you can join it. Okay, let me see. Own it because the shift looks amazing on you and sounds so wonderful. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you. I'm, man, I don't, I don't know. It's just one of those things where you really just, it felt like you just had your head like caught in the weeds for so long. Like that's how I always feel like it's just like, I'm just like working, but it doesn't feel like it's working towards anything. It doesn't feel like I'm making progress, or it feels like I know I'm making progress, but it still doesn't feel like it's amounting to anything or leading anywhere. And I'm so grateful to be at this point and this stage. So, all right, let me get into it because I feel like I could talk your ears off about how I feel about it, but I want to let y'all in on the tea, let y'all know what's up, let y'all know about these different styles and what it all looks like in action. So, there is something that I am going to be launching again. It's going to be the second round, and it's called Selling Without Selling Out. I believe the last time I was live, I mentioned the workshop to you before, and it is basically a workshop that helps you to sell naturally. That's like plain as plain as simple as I can make it, how to sell naturally. And when I say sell naturally, I don't mean learning somebody else's sales tactics, learning another strategy that doesn't work for you. I'm talking about leaning into you, how you show up naturally and how you show up confidently, and learning how to harness that, translate that into content, translate that into products and offers that feel good to you, that you are excited about, that makes sense for the way that you work and how you operate. And most importantly, showing you how to do that and to continue to show up, because once you have the information, we now have to get to the implementation of it. So actually taking the steps, taking what you've learned, putting it to action and seeing what works, what needs to be tweaked, what are people responding to? Is this something that I enjoy doing now that I've had a couple of times trying this out? Do I enjoy this? How do I want to shift this? Right. So the workshop, the first round of the workshop, it was the workshop by itself. And then at the end of the workshop, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I really want to have something where people can implement this, because I gave a lot of information. It was a lot to take in. And now that people have all of this new insight and revelation, what does it look like to support them through the process? So I ended up creating a email series, which actually I have to ask if that, I got to check in and see if that email series worked. But I started an email series, and it was like a lab. And so it was an implementation lab. And so each week I gave you different exercises and prompts to help you to continue building the offers that are aligned, content that makes sense for that thing to promote it, but also makes sense for who you are naturally. And I also got into the platforms that you should be on as well, and even the styles of content, because depending on what your creative thinking style is, there are going to be forms of content that are going to speak to you more than others and possibly highlight your strengths. And it could be possible that you are spending too much time in content styles that aren't highlighting your strengths. They're not your strong suit, and they're not where you need to be focused. So all of that was what I had decided needed to be after the workshop. And so after I did the first workshop, I was thinking, I was like, man, this was good, but I also felt like something was missing. And I knew that the implementation series was going to be an important part of that, because as much as I love being able to share new things and like shake up your world, like it's real cute to shake things up and to flip people, life upside down. But what does it look like to put stuff back together now? And I'm really big on, once you have it, once you have the information, what are you going to do with it? I'm about, you got to show me. Okay. Like you got to show me. I got to see for myself. That's how I am. When I learn something, I got to implement it as quickly as possible. Otherwise, it's gone. I lost it. Is I done stuffed it back there somewhere and now I'm onto something else. And so having the habit of going from idea to execution, shortening that gap, has been my mission this whole year. That has been my mantra. The whole year is shortening the gap from idea to execution. And so I want to be able to create something that does the same thing for you. So Selling Without Selling Out, I'm going to be having another round of it. However, this time it's not just going to be a workshop, it's going to be a lab. It's going to be a lab series. And I'm calling it a lab because it literally is about experimentation. We have a theory, we have an idea, we have your creative thinking styles, we have the platforms that you should be on, we have the product that you want to try out. So now that we have all of these different ideas in mind, what does it look like to implement these things? What does the information tell us? What are the results? And then what can we do with those results to continue to improve so that we continue to create in alignment with who we are, and to create offers that make sense, and to create things that we're passionate about? Because I think that there's like nothing more draining than having to continuously promote and market things that you really don't care about, especially when it's your own business, which is crazy to think about. But sometimes it happens. We end up in situations and with clients and in places are doing certain things that we actually really don't want to do. And we just don't realize that we don't have to. You literally have the power to create whatever kind of offer you want, as long as there is a need for it. That's the only thing that's going to dictate the success of it, is whether there's a need for it or not. So, yes, Kayla, shorten the gap. So, the workshop is going to be relaunching. I will have a solid date for y'all by this weekend, possibly by tonight. Just got to see how this day goes, because time has been slipping away from me. Oh my goodness. Because why is it almost 2026? It's been It's been a lot. It's been a lot. So I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it. Hopefully by tonight. But like I said, if not tonight, then it's gonna be tomorrow. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. If you participated in the last workshop, keep your eyes peeled for an email from me, because I will be sending a special invitation to y'all as well. So don't worry if you feel like, oh dang, like this next round of people finna be getting it good. I got you. I got you. Don't worry. I'm about to email y'all when I get it all figured out. Y'all gonna be the first ones. So don't worry. Yeah, no, y'all was the first ones on my mind. I was like, nah, I ain't gonna let y'all slip the cracks. Okay. I got y'all. Y'all was with me shooting in the gym. So I'm definitely not gonna leave y'all behind. So yeah, but I'm super, super excited about it. So let's get into these creative thinking styles. Where are we at? 37 minutes? Okay. So let's see if I can do these without talking y'all ears off on each one. And we're gonna stay on topic, okay? On topic. That's what I'm telling myself. We're gonna see. Hold up, but actually, let me pull this one up. So the thinking styles. The thinking styles are there is inspirational thinking, there is systems thinking, there is aesthetic thinking, there is divergent thinking, and there is lateral thinking. Okay, so those are the five different thinking styles. And this was created by, I don't remember who the person was that first like coined this, but it's been a lot of research done on the different ways that people like synthesize information, the way that they generate ideas, the way that they express creativity, and it has opened up the definition of what creativity means. Okay, so I'm going to explain generally what each one means, and then I will get into further detail on each of them in the series. Okay, so the first one that we're going to talk about is the divergent thinker. Okay. Divergent thinking is the person that is the idea generator. So if you've ever met someone, or if you are someone who is like you are able to just come up with ideas like almost like it's nothing, like you're always coming up with something new, a new approach to things, and you're even the person that might think a little bit outside the box. Like if there's any person who fit that thinking process, it would be the divergent thinkers. And so they like to see all the different possibilities and to chart different paths with those things, with those ideas, in order to come up with new solutions, which is creativity, creating solutions, new solutions. And so you're really big on breaking outside of the norm, thinking past constraints. And that's actually a strength of yours because you're able to see things outside of how we've typically done them, how we usually do them. And as I'm talking about these, y'all, let me know if this sounds like you. Okay. Let me know if there's even like a piece of it, just say, "Ooh, that mean that's me," or "I feel like I do that." Or if you don't, then you can definitely tell me, "Nah, I ain't sound like me." I'll let y'all know right now, divergent thinking is not high on my list. It's not high on my list. And I think that that's also why I don't typically enjoy the styles of content where you're doing a bunch of different ways to style one thing. That actually takes a lot of energy for me. It takes a lot of effort because my thinking is more like I just do the stuff that I'm inspired to do. And coming up with a bunch of ideas off the dome is not typically how my brain functions. Like it's not my go-to. So for me, having someone who is a divergent thinker would be a benefit because then they can come up with ideas and new paths that support my inspirational thinking. But it's like naturally is not my strong suit. So your creativity is through fluency, flexibility, and your imagination, and your mind leaps to different possibilities and without worrying about whether or not it's feasible. Like delusion is you live in delusion. Like it's like I think we can do this. I don't care if we have never flown in the history of mankind. I feel like we can figure something out. And honestly, that's probably the people who have created the stuff that we like. We're like, how did you even discover that? Or how did you create that? That's probably there's probably a lot of inventors that are divergent thinkers. I would have to do a study on that and see, but I feel like it's definitely a lot of inventors that would fit that. So, idea divergent thinking, idea generator. Okay? That's how you're going to remember that. Now, the next one is the lateral thinker. Now, lateral and divergent are kind of similar, but the biggest difference, if I had to illustrate the difference, divergent thinkers are into taking as many possibilities as possible, right? Like they thrive on having lots of options. The lateral thinker is thinking about how can we do what we've been doing differently. So like how can we like break the pattern? So the pattern breaker. They are always thinking about how can we like break out of like the habitual patterns and taking a different route. So like instead of like, following wherever the GPS is telling you, oh, what would happen if I take this exit here and go this way, then go up this street and go down this way? I wonder if that would get me to that route faster. Or maybe I'll find a new place to go to eat that is better than the place that I was going to go to if I just took the highway straight down, right? Like that's how they're thinking. And so they're the ones that are going to have a very like surprising angle, or they're going to have a unique approach to explaining things. And so they can typically be the ones that are more provocative. They're the ones who maybe a little more direct, or like they may feel more direct, or even maybe a little abrasive, but it's really because they're in their minds, they're noticing that something can be done differently, and they're bringing a new perspective and a fresh twist to the situation. And so it really is about shifting and thinking outside of what is typically done, and what like the conventional what conventional wisdom would tell you or dictate that you do. So lateral thinkers are the pattern breakers. Okay, so we've done divergent, we've done lateral. All right, are y'all ready for the next one? If you are, you can put ready in the chat. I feel like I've just been powering through these, but I think I can take a breath. And we're going to talk about the next one. Now, this next one, though, this next one is the one that is, this next one is the one that I feel most people think about when they think about creatives. So, this one is going to be the one that probably makes the most sense. But even when it comes to aesthetic thinkers, oh, I said the name already. Now you know. And when it comes to aesthetic thinkers, I feel like there are certain things that aren't they're not given the respect that I feel like they deserve at times. And I'll leave it there. I'll explain that when I talk about aesthetic thinkers when they have their video. But I strongly believe that people put aesthetic thinkers into a box. Okay. And so, but when you think about creativity, I feel like that's what people think about. I see you're ready. Okay. So, aesthetic thinkers are the harmonizers. So, when you think about aesthetic thinkers, you think about harmony. And even when you think about uh, art, or when you think about design and the concepts within design, most times all that you're trying to do is to create harmony. So, even when, for instance, when we talk about body types, and the idea is for you to create balance. That's the motivation for it. There's other things too. I've talked about my thoughts and feelings on body types, but we won't get into that today. But the idea is to create balance, harmony, the yin and the yang. And so anytime anything that an artist is doing, anything that a creative is doing, they're trying to find the harmony and the beauty in things. Okay? So, with that in mind, create they think aesthetic thinkers think through harmony, through beauty, and through aesthetic coherence. So having things come together in a way that makes sense, that is beautiful. And this can be in the traditional sense of design and art, but this can also be still in that same vein, but like outside of what you would typically think about. Like aesthetic thinkers could be event planners. Or aesthetic thinkers can be set designers, or aesthetic thinkers could be graphic designers. Like they it can still have that same concept. There was another idea that I wanted to share that goes outside of that, but I feel like those are all probably typical ones. But we'll keep moving forward. But their goal is to bring harmony. And so I feel like even when it comes to the feeling that aesthetic thinkers can bring to the table, it is like how do we work together? How do we come together and take the different things that we do well, or this person is good at this and this person brings this and this personality is like this? How do we bring them together in a way that's harmonious? So they're really tuned into the feel of things, the atmosphere, the overall like vibe of what it is that is being created. That's their strong suit. And so they value things that have emotional resonance, the tone, making sure that the tone of what it is you're portraying is accurate, things that are elegant, things that are balanced, and things that just feel good to be in or feel good to experience. And so that can be through the visuals, that can be through the sound. I mean, even like an audio engineer can be an aesthetic thinker, because again, they're thinking about how does the speaker sound? What are the sounds that we need to add into to add the ambiance to it? Like those are things they're still thinking about. So it's not even just like, does this work, but does this fit the essence of what we're trying to convey? Reminds me of the hedonist a little bit. I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yep, yep. And you know what? And that makes me think too about what I was saying in the beginning, that I feel like they are overlooked, and sometimes like taken kind of taken for granted, but that's like the story of the arts in general. Am I right? I feel like that's it's a tale as old as time. Like the arts they stay playing in the art space. So that's the aesthetic thinker, y'all. Aesthetics, harmonizer, harmony. That's the aesthetic thinker. Okay. So are we ready for the next one? This next one, I love this one because I feel like this is the one out of all of the thinking types, this is the one that probably is the least likely to consider themselves creative. I think that they are the least likely to consider themselves creative because of what they tend to focus on, but they are actually very creative. They just don't realize that what they're doing is creativity. So, are y'all ready? I feel like I keep coming up with new things that I wish I would have thought to do in the beginning. But we're gonna do a little drum roll. Systems thinking. Okay. Systems thinking, or the architect. Yeah, thank you, Kayla. Thank you for the drums. I'm really appreciating this interaction. So, systems thinkers are the people who are connecting the pieces and making it make sense. Okay. They're the ones that are like, okay, let's move this here, dot the I, cross the T. Like they're the ones that's figuring out how things flow, which really does lean into harmony a little bit too, like the aesthetic thinker. But they're not drawn to the beauty of it. They're drawn to, how does this make sense with this, make sense with this, and like how does it all go together? So they're really good at identifying the patterns. They're good at realizing how things are interdependent and interconnected, and being able to see the structure, beneath the surface. Like they're able to go a little bit deeper to see, okay, how do we support this? Like you want to put this event together. what are the logistics of this event? How do we map this out so that this event that you want to have can happen? That's the systems thinkers. And systems thinkers are really the ones that are going to help the things that we want to do get executed. Like they're the ones that's like, out of all of them, I really feel like they're the ones that's like, okay, how do we get this done? And what does this mean in the long run? What does this mean for what it is that we're building? And so they're really like, they're, they almost, I won't call them that. We're going to stick with the architect for now. But they are really like, they're the ones like when we talked about that structure, when I was talking about that structure earlier, they're the ones that's helping with the structure. They're the ones that's helping to make it make sense. And I feel like it's like the sign, the thinking style that makes it concrete. You know what I'm saying? So they look for the coherence, they look for the loops, and they're thinking like big picture. How does this all flow and work together? And how does this piece shape this piece to this piece? That's what they're thinking. And so it's about being able to integrate things. It's about being able to see how things form together and transforming it into something by being able to recognize the relationships and the correlations. And so systems thinking, I told y'all, that is my secondary, and it's actually pretty high. I won't say it's like I won't say it's close, but it is pretty high as my secondary. And when I think about the way that my brain works, sometimes when I have an idea, oftentimes will go to the systems thinking first, because the systems makes me feel safe. Like it makes it feel like whatever it is that I'm doing, it makes me feel responsible. Like, okay, I have this idea, this is how I execute it. Right. And so sometimes it can be the thing that I lean to before inspiration. And it's weird because like how can you build it if you don't have the inspiration? But sometimes I won't really like sit with a thing and allow it to form a little bit more before I start to try to make it make sense. So that's a whole other thing. This is not about me though. It's about systems thinking. So if you are somebody who is able to connect the dots, you recognize the patterns, you know how things relate to one another, then you are possibly a systems thinker. All right. And our final thinking type, which is my personal favorite because I'm being biased right now. Our final thinking type is inspirational thinking, aka the visionary. Yes. Now listen, y'all, listen. If you're not an inspirational thinker, it's okay. You be the thinker that you are. I'm giving this disclaimer because I might have a little bit more energy for inspirational, but I promise it's only because it's mine. It's not because one way of thinking is better than the other. I promise you it's not. We need every thinking style that there is. We need all of the thinking types to be able to really make change in the world. So I'm gonna make sure I put that out there. All right. Now, with all that being said, inspirational thinkers, come to the front of the class. Okay. So, inspirational thinkers are the ones that are intuitive. They are often the ones that don't think traditionally or even in order. And when I say they don't think in order, I feel like it's literally like it reminds me of like That's So Raven. I reference That's So Raven a lot. It was a very instrumental part of my childhood. And so the way that it's almost like you're like forward thinking, but you're not always thinking about what it takes to get there. You just know what it looks like to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not thinking in steps of, you're not constrained by time or even by, sorry y'all, or even by the order in which things are supposed to occur, right? And so your insights rise from reflections, from things that just resonate with you deeply, or they're things that just kind of like they just kind of hit you, like literally it's like inspiration. This is like hits you, and it doesn't necessarily have a rhyme or reason to it. It just is, if that makes sense. And so you're able to really tap into this when you lean into your imagination, when you learn to trust your intuition, and when you are allowing yourself to be motivated by the things that light you up, like the things that really speak to you. Because one of the most important things about inspirational thinking is that it has to have meaning. It literally, like, it has to mean something, or I don't care. I don't want to do it. And it may sound a little like high and mighty, but it really is just because it is, you depend on that to motivate you, to drive you. And so you're really drawn by things making sense. Like, it has to have meaning. And even sometimes I'll catch myself uh at, like, if somebody gives me a suggestion for something, I will catch myself like sitting and thinking. I'm like, but does this do this? And is this leading to this? And then what does that mean for this? And like, how does that connect to what I'm already doing? And who is that benefiting? So there's always a lot of things kind of like, going on in my head because of the way that I'm wired, the way that I think. And so that quiet sense of direction often comes before the explanation. Like, you may not get the explanation till we do it. Like, you may not know why until it happens. And so it really, this thinking style really depends, it really emphasizes rather the depth, and things having purpose, and things resonating with you emotionally. And so you may have a lot of similarities to an aesthetic thinker. But the biggest difference between aesthetic thinkers and inspirational thinkers is that you're not motivated necessarily by things being harmonious or the beauty of things. You're connected to the deeper meaning. And even when it comes to the work that I do and the things that I enjoy doing, it's absolutely important to, be pretty. I like dressing up. I like looking good. Aesthetics do mean something to me. However, even when it comes to styling people, I'm always trying to tap inward first. Like, I'm going to go inward before it is expressed outwardly. And that's just been the way that I'm wired. Like, that's the way that I have to do it, because that's the way that I reason with things, and that's the way that I come to the conclusions that I do. So that is how you are wired as well, if you are an inspirational thinker. And one of the things that I've had to allow to really resonate with me is that this way of thinking doesn't mean that I'm a flaky person. It doesn't mean that I'm flighty. It doesn't mean that I'm unfocused, but it does mean that I have to learn how to work with it and to appreciate it, because it does have a purpose, it does have meaning. You're not going to be able to build anything of substance without a visionary. Because what are you building, and what are you building it for? Like, I would like to think about it almost like being like the heart of the operation. Like, they're the ones that's going to help you remember why we're doing this, what this means, who this is impacting, what this is all for. Like, the really, like connecting to the deeper meaning of it, because those are the things that's going to help create longevity. So if you are an inspirational thinker, you are a special person. I would know. But I also want you to know that it can come with its challenges, and it may not always feel special. And so all of the different thinking styles, though, between the inspirational, the systems, the aesthetic thinking, divergent, lateral thinking, all of those thinking styles have a critical role to play in the overall grand scheme of creativity, and what we are able to create and push forward, and the solutions that we are able to provide collectively, not even just in our communities, but around the world, like understanding what those strengths are is what's going to really help you to push these agendas forward. And not only recognizing yours, but also recognizing the thinking styles that you need. Like what kind of thinker do you need to support you? What kind of thinker do you need to collaborate with? How can you create a team where everybody's thinking style is different so that you can come up with the most incredible, groundbreaking, revolutionary things, because now you have all these different thinkers and these different perspectives coming together for a common goal. And so when I was reading these and I was looking at each of them, I could see the value and the importance of every single thinker. And then immediately after that, I started to think about how so many people don't realize that they don't, like, you don't even know what your thinking style is. You don't even know how to tap into the thing that makes you powerful. And the thing that is so dope about creativity in general is that it is an inexhaustible resource. And if it's ever felt like it was finite, it's because you haven't tapped into your strengths. You haven't tapped into the thing that makes you shine, the places and the areas and the ways that your brain works and what it's able to provide. Because once you do, it literally is endless. Like you're never going to stop. And it's one of the things, like when you know it, like this is what I do, this is just what I do. Like I can wake up and I can do this over and over and over and over because this is how I'm wired, this is how I'm designed. And so I wish that there was a correlation or a metaphor that I could use to really bring that point home. Maybe it'll come to me as I continue the series, but hopefully you're at least enticed. Like I just, like, wet your whistle a little bit, and you're sitting here and you're thinking, okay, how do I figure out what my creative thinking style is? Like, how do I tap into this? How do I not only learn this, but how do I use this to my advantage? What does this mean for my creativity? What does this mean for me monetizing it? What does this mean for my business? What does this mean for my platforms? This All of these things can start to be answered once you understand it. And so here's what I will say. If you are curious right now and you want to know what your creative thinking style is, I will be going through the assessment with you during Selling Without Selling Out. That is actually one of the things that I'm adding into it because I'm realizing how important that is to know. And while you can get a good idea just by listening to the descriptions, the quiz gives you a sure answer on who you are, what your thinking styles are, and it also helps you to have like a back and forth, and you can ask questions and you can be like, what does this mean for what kind of platform should I be on? What should my content strategy look like for blah, blah, blah? Like you can literally get as specific as you want to, and you can get answers that are catered to your thinking style. You can get business ideas, content strategy. You can even get stuff that has nothing to do with business. You could get workout routine, uh, what else, like how, like style tips, like how you might dress, what type of events you might be interested in going to because of your thinking style, what kind of hobbies. It literally opens up the door to so many different ways for you to learn yourself and learn who you are and learn how to work with it and appreciate it, and also really take it to your advantage and learn how to use it to collaborate with others. And so there's so many different ways that I don't even know yet that you can use it, but it just excites me to know that there are so many possibilities just by knowing this thing. It's like it unlocks this door to so much that you didn't even realize you didn't have access to yet. And so if you want to learn yours, I will be, when I give the update on where to go to secure your spot for Selling Without Selling Out. If this interests you, do not miss that opportunity. Okay. The quiz that I'm referring to, the creative thinking style profile quiz, it is not something that I have opened up to the public. So you only have access to it either by having me go through it with you one on one. So if you are a client, we can do it one on one or through the workshop. Those are the only two ways that it's available right now. So if you don't want to just be guessing it and you want a short answer, then that's going to be what you should be doing. And oh, I'm just excited because I know that it's going to give so much clarity and it's going to alleviate so many people and it's going to eliminate options that don't even make sense for you. Like so like the process of elimination, but you don't it's not a long process. It's just a nope. I'm good on that. That doesn't really make sense for me. So I can't wait, y'all. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Yes, Kayla has gone through her creative thinking style profile with me. We've created her profile and we learned that she and I have the exact same creative thinking style. We're inspirational and systems thinkers. So, and if y'all see us together, it makes sense. It makes sense. Even though the way that we express it is still our own, like we still have our own twist to it, but you can see the similarities for sure. Yeah, it's a fun time. It's a fun time with my twin. So yeah, y'all, I actually will be. I think that one of the days I should probably write this down somewhere. One of the days I will do a update. No, not an update. I will post a short clip. I can do that today. I'm gonna post a short clip of what it looks like to get your creative thinking style done, to get the profile created so that you can see for yourself how out the gate, just getting the answer is already enough to make you go, wow, this is I feel like I got so much relief and I got so much clarity in this call just from this, just from knowing this and having this information. So I'm really looking forward to being able to walk more people through it. And until then, if you still want to learn about the creative thinking styles, which I'm sure you do, then I will be doing them in a series. I believe that right now they're going to probably be once a week. So I'll do a new style each week and kind of pace myself. And if I decide that I want to pick up the pace and do more of them, then I might. We'll see how I feel, but I think that I can definitely say at least once a week. So each week it'll be a new thinking style you'll get to learn about. And I've already come up with what I think I'm gonna do to show you what the creative thinking styles look like in action. So I'm excited. I'm excited, y'all. I hope you are too. And outside of that, I think that's everything. I had so much fun. I missed y'all. I am so sorry that I was gone for as long as I was, but I will be back on Thursdays around 2ish Eastern time. So we'll be back regularly scheduled programming and we will have our live streams, we'll have our chats, and we're going to finish out this year strong. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. Y'all be good. Take care of yourselves. Stay warm if you're gonna be out in these streets or if you know traveling for work or whatever you're doing. And I will talk to y'all in the next video.